Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. Finally got the new studio all set up around here. We are having some wise conversations. Our friend at Wise Market. Well, first off, Rob Santoni's on this week. You can find that out at Baltimore Positive and out in the podcast audio vault as well. But we have many, many great sponsors around here, and no one loves this time of the year more than this guy. So I gave away my green jacket. I used to have a green jacket that looked a little Mastersy. This is the closest. When I put the green shirt on and I go with this is for the NFL draft. This is the Clark Kent or the Sammy Watkins in me. Leonard Raskin joins us now from Raskin Global. He's saving money, investing money, taking advantage of the tax season stretching out another 5 weeks, and probably watching a little golf this weekend, right? I mean, you got a big golf tournament coming up next week. I will be participating, which usually means click, drink, move, like that's usually me on the golf course, a little heckling, but it's golf season, right?
It's golf season. We got the Masters coming. So we'll get to watch a little, what would I call that? Real golf, professional golf. And then on the April 19th, as you said, April 19th coming up, we've got the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital Golf Tournament. Presenting sponsor of that. We'll have you out there rolling around, meeting the folks. It'll be awesome.
Moeller's coming out with Jeff Moeller too, so we're making a little family day of it. And you know what I'm interested in, and this is going to be my new little test, because I've been reading The Tipping Point lately about Paul Revere and connectors and mavens and salesmen. I'm thinking there's going to be a couple hundred people there. I'm wondering how many of them I know, because I haven't done anything like this. I haven't been to an event since I did Sports Boosters last year, their big March event, and it was the night before COVID, right? So I was in a room with, 60, 70 people. I haven't been to anything with people in a year.
This is going to be, this is as I think, I'm looking at the calendar. I think this is the first kind of charity, like you said, event. This is the first rollout of the season. This is the first big try at the post-COVID, open it up and let's go. I mean, it's not the Texas Rangers and 40,000 folks.
That was. I mean, I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you bring that up.
But it is like you said. I think there's going to be probably 150, couple hundred folks out there rolling around the golf course. We've got the dividers in the cart for those that want the acrylic divider.
I'm telling the Moellers they need to walk. I told Don he needs the exercise.
There you go. So I'm telling you, man. I was so we spent a few days past week, a little spring break action with the boy out at Columbus. We went up to Ohio State for a few days.
You told me you were doing that. And, I took some downtime last week with my friends at MOI, trying to put a whole new studio together. So a big shout out to Dave Knoll. I want to give him some love.
So we did some Ohio State. We watched them practice some marching band. And the good news we think so far is that the Ohio State marching band folks are going to be playing the spring game.
Dotting the I in Ohio.
Dotting the I won't be the boy because he doesn't do the tuba, but somebody will be dotting the I, and they'll be playing halftime. He plays tenor sax.
And he's going to be in the world famous Ohio State.
The world famous Ohio State Shoe Stadium, playing halftime of the spring game. And this is the first event where the band will actually play at an event since he got on campus as freshman September. So
has he learned Hang On Sloopy yet?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure he knows that one.
They got all the pep
tunes.
They're
going to play that.
They're doing a trifecta of Wizard of Oz, The Wiz, and Wicked is the field show for the I'm
not a Wicked guy. I saw Wicked. Wicked was like the last thing I really did.
Well, there you go.
Did before that and Cheap Trick. But I'm hoping that we're I just literally this weekend, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I turned down a vaccination because my wife's not here and I don't have a caretaker. Like literally my wife needed a caretaker. So I'm not taking a shot and sitting here and having the chills all night long. So, but I've been offered now, right? Like this weekend,
it's getting close.
Next week, I'm going to get a shot. There's no doubt about that.
Close. And but, we talk money. What I was saying about the Ohio State, it's kind of amazing to me. I think to myself, man, one man's pandemic is another man's fortune, right? We go to a restaurant. There's these plastic dividers between every table.
Somebody's selling them
everywhere you walk. There's dots on the floor, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart.
Somebody
There's
printed them.
signs everywhere, in the hotel, in the restaurants, wear your mask, cover your face. I'm thinking to myself, man, who is making all these signs and dividers and stickers?
Who's making all the little Purell dispensers at the door of every,
right.
you know what I mean? Like
There's
all of these things
fortunes.
happen,
There's fortunes. Capitalism has found a way. And like everything else, man, entrepreneurs bring us out of all the trial and tribulation of the world. Capitalism is what makes it happen. Look, people
needs breeds, right?
Right. People get all wacky about capitalism and so on. But I can tell you what, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, they stepped up to the plate and kicked in this vaccine that's going on. You just talked about, and you can hate the orange man or love the orange man, but he said 8 months ago, everybody that wants a vaccine will be able to get a vaccine by April. We are crushing that. Everybody will be able to do that. The pundits laughed at him. The critics scoffed at him. And now our current president, Joe Biden, is saying everybody that wants a vaccine is going to be eligible to get a vaccine by April. So I wonder where he got that idea. I don't know. A lot of people think it was his idea. The fact of the matter is, I don't care what you think. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, these AstraZeneca, these corporations stepping up, making it happen in unprecedented time that we can all, right behind you there is that beautiful purple bowl. And we can get back there. We can go watch the O's. We can watch the Masters with fans. We can go to M&T. We can do this because corporations stepped up and did this. People don't want to give Trump any credit for the warp speed and that the government had anything to do with this. Fine, I don't care. I'll give all the props to the corporations. I'm all for it.
See, I'm giving the props to the science. I'm the other way on that. And I know the money and the science and the corporations, but to me, it's modern Marvel, polio, stuff my grandmother told me about, literally.
Absolutely.
Right?
But it had to happen, and it had to happen fast. And it had to be, the FDA had to be able to drop some of the regulation and red tape that would allow it to happen. And that happened. And it's just amazing. My mother's had her shots. My son's had a shot. My wife's had a shot. Like you, I'm not on the list yet. I haven't gotten the offer for the shot. I'm not sick. I'm not old. I'm not going to.
So today's my day. Like literally, I filled the form out last night. Like last night, I filled it out. This morning, I got a thing. I'm like, I can't take a shot right now, but I can a week from now. I'm figuring it out. So
yeah,
I just feel like we're getting into a point here. There's opening day, and I thought, the Fenway thing was dreary, and I went through that with Bob Ryan, Dan Shaughnessy, Mike Silver, and I had a great football and rock and roll conversation. You can find all that at Baltimore Positive as part of all of our wise conversations that we're bringing in. But Leonard Raskin is our guest right now from Raskin Global, by the way. For me, with this time of year, you're a hockey guy.
Yep.
We're going to do that. If you're a basketball person, we did that college and it was pretty good. About to do it again. If you're into baseball and you're watching every night, whether you're watching the Orioles strike out 20 times a night in New York or whatever it is this week, that you have that.
Yankee whammy going
are coming,
on.
Right? I'm sorry.
So they got the Yankee whammy going on.
Well, I mean, listen. I'm about to do this crab cake tour. If I give you $100 budget for a crab cake and you give me a 10-cent budget for a crab cake, I'll show you something frozen. It's no good. You know what I'm saying?
Different crab cake.
So it's a different crab cake, right? So, and by the way, you and I are down for this crab. We're going to do a crab cake in the next 8 weeks. That's part of my
absolutely.
Nixon had ping pong democracy. I'm going with crab cake democracy. That's the way I'm looking at this. But part of crab cake democracy and doing all of these things, and my gratitude to you for being a sponsor and keeping us going here. State Fair, we're doing shows, then we're not doing shows. We're about to start doing live shows there next month. I'm starting to literally think about, I got a new phone. I've downloaded the Southwest app, the Ticketmaster app, the StubHub apps. I haven't touched the Ticketmaster or the StubHub app in 13 months. And I don't even know the password. I had to put, I'm figuring that stuff out. And I'm like, all right, I have to start thinking about there's going to be a concert. There's going to be a beer. There are going to be nights. Who am I going to want to – maybe this speaks to, you talk about saving money and the American dream and all that. The American dream 12 months ago was getting a shot, which we're about to have, right? It was having all this back and putting all this on and sitting back in the upper deck and all the things that were taken away from us. Now it's like who do I want to spend time with? Who am I
Yep.
going to
Yep.
have that crab cake with? Who am I going to have back into my home? Who am I going to go here with or golf with or concert with? And I think that that's really an exciting thing,
Absolutely. It's going to change. Obviously, people have changed, but just as you said, priorities have been readjusted, re-examined. People looked at their house. Do they love their house? Do they want a different house? They want a bigger house. They want a smaller house. Do they love their office? Are they going back to the office? Business owners downsizing their companies, upsizing their companies. And just as you said, is it important that I go to M&T and Camden Yards and concerts, or is it more important that I use that money for my family and for charity and for things I care about? What's the real tangible here? We tell people all the time, you can give your kids money, but boy, how much better is it to use the money and give them an experience? We went out to Columbus, like I said, spent a day at the Columbus Zoo. Could have given my kid $100. Instead, we went to the zoo and spent the day and laughed and had a good time and saw the gorillas and saw the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
It's amazing with industrious people like over the last year, and I call this Baltimore positive, and some people laugh. Whatever you say, I don't really care at this point, and it's because of sponsors like you and partners that keep this going. But it is amazing that you're like, all right, I miss my kid, I love my kid. We're gonna go out. He's getting a shot. We're gonna hang out. Well, we can't go here. We can't go there. We can't do this. We can't go to the hockey. All these. What can we do? What can we do?
Yeah, that's right.
We can go to the zoo and
That's
we can
right.
have a great day at the zoo. My wife and I started taking walks in parks. All these county
Easter
executives
Sunday.
I have on. I mean, we've started to find other things to do. That one day I'll go back here. One day I'll go back here. Maybe I won't want to go back here. Maybe I won't want to go back here as much. Maybe it'll cost too much. But the re-examination of time well spent, right? Like with
Yeah, that's
whomever we're
exactly
spending
right.
it with, right?
That's exactly right. You get your purpose clear. The goal is, we talk about the American dream. The goal is to get your purpose clear. What are you doing? What's it for? What's the point of it all? It's not about just collecting ducats on a statement and saying I got more ducats than you got ducats. It's about, what am I doing with the ducats? And what matters. And as we said earlier, we're sponsoring Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital. We're helping a great cause, helping kids that otherwise couldn't get the help. And we're going to the zoo. I mean, Saturday at the zoo, Easter weekend, man, that place was packed. And the Easter Bunny was all over the place. And
Columbus
kids
Zoo's
were
famous, right? Like they had a
it
TV
is
show
it
there,
is
right?
Jack Hanna, the big animal guy. That's his zoo. So it's huge, man. We walked 5 miles. Feet needed a little put me up after that. Said, wow, 5 miles. That's a nice long walk.
My
It was
wife's
a beautiful day.
sister has fallen in love with a hippopotamus at the Cincinnati Zoo. So I'm trying to pull strings with Marvin Lewis. You know what I mean? I'm trying to help my sister-in-law who's battled cancer, and my wife, and she's like, we got to fly to Cincinnati. And I'm like, I've been to Cincinnati
Yeah,
a lot.
Right.
But Leonard Raskin joining us here, Raskin Global. He invests money. He gives good common sense thoughts about the money and capitalism and all that stuff. And is also a pretty large size sports fan this time of year for Masters. And I'm wearing my green. And you got any draft thoughts? I mean, Luke and I have been going through this, and the baseball thing for me, a lot of my baseball thoughts are not positive. The games are slow. The announcers are disinterested. There's nothing exciting going on. They're feast or famine. I can bitch about all that, but then there's this, which is the great Purple Hope, right? And we're a couple weeks out on the draft, and last Monday they give Sammy Watkins the money. We saw him this week talk about the Chiefs and promise and all this. There is great drama or intrigue. The Ravens are a great soap opera. And I would say that because this time of the year really is, it's a soap opera I've built my life around, right? And you as well in the last 25 years. But I don't know if they're going to win a Super Bowl with this kid. I know that they need to do more. And I know that having a center would help. And I know that they think they want a wide receiver, but they really don't want to pass the ball. I mean, really.
Well, you got to talk about Sammy Watkins. Like you said, he came. He knew what this team was about, and he signed. He said, "I'm willing to catch a few passes from this guy. He'll throw me the ball." And they let a couple people go. They're going to pick up a couple people. Like you said, I think a center is really important. We saw that all too well in a couple games last year. Balls flying over his head and balls dribbling on the ground like they were bowling. I think clearly that's a position you got to nail down. Let's face it, Matt Burke was just, he was studly in that shot for a while. And,
well, yeah, I mean, the franchise kind of went off a cliff after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, and all due respect,
it's like having good pitching. People don't recognize how critical, but that guy touches the ball every offensive play, and he better be on his game.
No. See, I'd use the other sports analogy. I'd say it's more like catching, where like you don't appreciate a guy who calls a good game,
right?
Except
Frames
they become the managers. And
You're absolutely right.
The catchers are the smartest guys on the field. They have to be.
Yeah.
They call the game. The center calls the defense at the line of scrimmage, identifies the Mike linebacker, and sets the line and knows where the pressure's coming from, and needs to be, along with the quarterback, seeing the game the same way. Did you see? Yeah. I know you don't watch every Oriole game, but there was a pitch the other night. It was Monday night. The game, the Orioles got blown out in Yankee Stadium, and the catcher Savarino set up here, and the pitch came here, and this is when the umpire gets hit in the nuts with a fastball, right? I mean, literally, right? But center for me with football, and I guess I've been watching this 25 years, and I'm pretty accomplished at studying football. The center thing for me, that changed everything after Burke. That really gave me more appreciation for that position 20 years into studying this than I've ever had. That's why, especially in this offense with what they want to do and first step being so important.
Yep.
They need a center.
I also find it kind of funny that they let Morgan Cox walk. I didn't quite get that deal. Maybe it was money. It's clearly a money thing, I guess. You figure you can get a long snapper that's just as good. I don't know, man. The guy's a stud.
Well, they were part of a team for a long, long time. So I am curious.
Yeah.
And, Mike Silver was on this week from the NFL Network, and he and I had at it. We're old chums. And we talked about access to media and what the story is that John Harbaugh's telling you. And when reporters are around, finding out what really happened, and Silver said, I think 5 years, 10 years from now, we're going to learn a lot about COVID that we didn't know, because there were no reporters asking what was really going on. So when you ask something like that, my reporter hat goes up saying, I don't know what that was, but I could ask and find out, or try to.
You got one of if not the best, top punters in the league. You got the best by percentage of kicks, place kicker in the league, and you got a center that's integral to that team, and you wipe them out of there. That's curious to me. It's very curious that happened. He didn't make a mistake in his career.
Well, it's actually for me in these press conferences that are like hostage videos. It's not you and me getting together asking questions. Like, I watched 10 minutes of the Sammy Watkins thing the other day, and I'm long past the point thinking I'm really going to know Sammy Watkins and he's going to come to the barn and have a crap game. I think that ship has sailed because I've witnessed it, right? But to me, the Sammy Watkins thing is, if I'm Sammy Watkins, I watched it and you would have thought like he didn't want to be in Kansas City anymore. And I'm like, that's probably not the right answer to the quiz. That's probably like this kid Orlando Brown that doesn't want to be a Raven anymore. If I'm somewhere else and I hear you don't want to be a Raven, I want to ask what's wrong with you, not what's wrong with the Ravens, right? And I would say that with the Chiefs. You don't want to play for Andy. Like, it would have been more accountable for me to hear Sammy Watkins say, I took a lot of money from them. We won a lot of games. I wasn't as much of, I would have liked to have heard more of like, let's not kid ourselves. I'm in Baltimore because I underproduced in Kansas City, but that makes me want to produce more in Baltimore. Like, I would have liked to have heard that. These kids are so coached up in these PR ways that like, I didn't really love what I heard from Sammy Watkins, and I didn't get the vibe that he's the answer, or that staying healthy, or all of these things. I'm convinced he wants to be here and wants $6.5 million, and that Lamar's a great person for him at this point in his career. I'll buy all that. But there is a little bit of a point where when we don't really get questions, we don't really get answers,
Yeah, well, that's the case with everything. Football is just indicative. You're just watching that interview. But I will tell you, I think one of the things that's missing all across the board, is a hard press. I mean, your world press. I don't mean like basketball press. I mean, people have to ask more. I don't know if the word's intrusive.
Well, you got to peel back the onion, right?
Yeah, you got to dig in deeper. You got to dig in deeper and ask the questions that matter. And they cannot answer it. They can choose to shuff off and give you the coached answer. But you catch somebody off guard with a good question. They all of a sudden, you notice, you can see it in their eyes that suddenly that hit them, and they now either have to tack off or come back to you with a real answer. And I like real questions. I like good follow-up. I like hard questions. And our press across the board doesn't ask a lot of hard questions.
What's all I've ever done for a living, and
this
is not a format to do that in. And no offense, and I like John Harbaugh a ton, I really do. But when John's lying, I know it. You know what I mean? Like I've sat and watched press conferences for 13 years. You know, he has an eye shift. He has all of these tells that when I'm not getting the truth, or when I wouldn't stake my life on his words, I always sort of know when, but that's a human study, right? I mean,
right.
Listen, in your industry, we talk about the press, and I know our time short. Leonard Raskin, I'm gonna tell you, but in your industry, when a Madoff goes down and people wonder, you know, you all become quote unquote used car salesmen or politicians, or less than integrity that you'd want to have.
Right.
What you do in your industry, integrity is like literally the only thing. It's everything.
Yeah,
right?
you don't have that at the door, you might as well close the door. Yeah, I mean, you better be straight with people, and you better tell them exactly what it is. I think one of the things about my industry that's, as you say, critical, there's a lot of people that do a lot of things that make a lot of money. And there are not a lot of things that are great for the consumer necessarily. The federal government, it's gotten so bad in some degree that the federal government has stepped in, and state governments have stepped in to regulate a lot stricter than they've been in the past. People say to me, well, what do you think about these new rules, the Department of Labor, the SEC, these new regulatory, these fiduciary rules? I say, well, that's what I've been doing for 30 years. Doesn't bother me one bit. You hear a guy complaining about the new regulations, that shouldn't be your advisor. Because the new regulations say you have to put the consumer first. You have to put your client's interest in front of your interest. And that's just what you're talking about, man. If you don't have that integrity to do what's right for your client ahead of what's right for you, you should find another career. You should be out of this game. And
we've all met people like that. We just don't want to invest our money with them.
Absolutely. You don't want to have your money with these people. You don't want to take their advice, because you can see clearly that every time they give a piece of advice, it's what's in it for me. And I know that when people come into my office that I haven't met yet, one of the things top of mind for them is they're thinking about me saying to them, giving them a piece of advice, and they're wondering what's in it for me. And so I know that, and I address that right up front with people. Everything we do is about you and your financial world and your family. And we disclose every dollar we earn and how we earn it. And we make sure that if we get a dollar from X or Y, that this is how it gets paid, and you paid it, or a company paid it, and here's how it got done. And if you don't want to pay because of the structure and the way that the world works, that's fine. Go do your thing. I'm all for it. But yeah, integrity is way, way high. And man, if we're lying to clients, we might as well just shut the doors. And like you said, I think it's easy to tell. I think it's very easy to tell from people when they're telling you the truth and when they're not. And I don't want to be around people. When they can't afford
to, in the case of John Harbaugh.
yeah, right. I don't want to be around people and organizations, et cetera, that aren't doing that.
Well, I mean, on the injury report, it's important in the NFL. Raskin Global, I'm pulling up. Go to raskinglobal.com, learn more about everything Leonard does. And you have a lot of stuff up here, business strategies and just for women, Truce 41 and 101. You're doing different.
Read 41 and 101 right there. It tells you just what we said. Most people prefer the easy lie to the hard truth.
Well, this is tough business, investing money, and it's not, it's not for a weekend warrior for sure. And I think we speak to that all the time. Hey, opening day, baseball, hot dogs, right? We got hockey, we got golf. We got shots. It's a good time right now, right?
It's a good time.
We should be feeling good about ourselves coming into this. Right?
Absolutely. Look, the Ravens are going to play in Vegas this year.
Schedule's coming out in a couple weeks. All right, maybe
there's going to be a 17th game. It's going to be a 17th game. How about that?
Bring the Rams in here, although I said it'd be better out there. I want to go see their place. Leonard, I appreciate you, man. We're going to send everybody out to Raskin Global. You can click on Leonard's tab, add it Baltimore Positive. You can find us out in the podcast audio vault. You probably can find Leonard and I probably out on the golf course on the 19th with Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital. And our friend Paula Bragg will be out there doing that with Jeff and Don are joining me as well. Leonard, have a great week. Enjoy the games. We come back next week. The Orioles won't be undefeated. I know that much.
There you go.
Hope they're over 500, though. Leonard Raskin, Raskin Global joining us here. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking. Baltimore, positive.